It's about 10 days until Passover. And what is the song that we all love to sing on Passover? Die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, 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 die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, Dayenu, Dayenu. It was that easy. Like I had people clapping, I had people singing. Rochelle was pumped already. 10 days to Passover, right? We could do endless choruses of Dayenu, right? Whoa. Wait, what did you just say, Charlie? It's long if you can remember the words. And that's actually part of what I share with you tonight, because when we do Passover, it's easy to get into the choruses and refrains and pay attention to the fun stuff like eating parsley and maror and pointing to the shank bone. Passover is full of all of these things to get our attention, to keep us engaged. The rabbis actually built the Seder, constructed the Seder pedagogically to entertain children of all ages. Okay, the whole Seder was set up so that the children would say, Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halaylot, which means, why is this night different from all other nights? And so that then when the children ask, then the parents can answer, oh, let me tell you a story. But as we do Dayenu, and it's so reflexive, what does Dayenu mean? Enough. It would have been enough for us. And I wanted to start with that piece of Dayenu, that it's easy to get into the refrains and get stuck in the choruses, and oh, it's so fun to sing it and clap it. Sandy, you were right there with me. As soon as I started Dayenu, she was clapping, right? And yet, sometimes it's when we get into those choruses, when we get into those familiar, comfortable rhythms, we lose the words that are in between. What are the verses that are in between? Can anyone do those by memory? Kind of. Okay, stop. Now, without the cantor's help. And I don't say it to be critical. I say it because that's normal human behavior. Dayenu is the chorus is so fun and upbeat and joyous. It would have been enough if you had done all these things for us, God. But what I want tonight is also to call you back to what are the things that would have been enough. Savlanut, patience, hold on a second. I'll get there. That wasn't actually a question. That was rhetorical for me. Because one of the first verse, Ilu Hotzianu mi Mitzrayim. Thank you, God, for bringing us out of Egypt. But that first word, or that last word, caught my attention as I was preparing for Shabbat this week. What is the Hebrew word for Egypt? Mitzrayim. And there's another word that shares its root, tsuris. Tsuris and Mitzrayim have the same root. And what does tsuris mean? It means pinched or stuck. It means being trapped, that you can't get free. That's what the people of Israel were in the land of Egypt. In fact, how did they get out? The sea opened up and they were able, the pinch released itself and they were able to go free. Now, I'm going to give you a complete paradox, because the song is Ilu Hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, that we're getting out of Egypt. And where were they headed? the promised land. They're heading to the land of Israel. And I wanted to share with you this week that all of this came because I was thinking, I really want to say something about Israel. Right now, we're 6 months after the October 7th attacks. I light a solidarity light, but we watch all of this about news of hostages, about threats from Iran, about pulling out of Khan Yunis, about protests in Jerusalem. It feels like that Billy Joel song, We Didn't Start the Fire, when you start talking about Israel. And I want to say something about Israel, right? I want the hostages to come home. I want Israel to not have to be in this defensive mode where they're having to send soldiers out, to not have to deal with rockets on their northern border. I want the terrorists of Hamas to be defeated. I want the people of Gaza to be safe and secure in their spaces, to find their sense of freedom and safety. Obviously not at the expense of Israel. I want all of Israel to be a joyful place, an or lagoyim, a light to the nations. I want this, I want that. I don't want political turmoil in Israel. I want all the Israelis to get along. I started to think about, what do I say about Israel? And I realized how stuck in a Mitzrayim I am, just trying to have a conversation. Because at my breakfast table, I have one conversation about Israel, and in my office, I have another, and when I'm in the grocery store and someone realizes I'm a rabbi, I have another, and then I get a text message and I have another. There is so many different tugs and pulls and threads and knots around what is happening in Israel and Gaza and the Middle East, and I could just keep going on and on and on, and I realized that even just trying to say the right prayer from Israel, what was I doing? I was getting myself so stuck and so pinched. And if we are stuck and pinched, are we able to do anything, any act of tikkun in our world? Any act of real repair or blessing in our world? And I said, Ilu Hotzianu, Mi Mitzrayim. Thank you, God, for helping us figure out how to get unstuck. And then I thought about the next two verses that we sing. There are a lot of verses, by the way, because you're really supposed to do your Seder until midnight, just offering that to all of you. But the other two that we sing, to me, and I'll actually have them on a PowerPoint, Ilu Hotzianu, Ilu Natan Lanu et HaShabbat. Thank you, God, for giving us Shabbat, a day of rest and reflection and renewal where we're supposed to change how we move through the world in big ways, in little ways, how the whole texture of our lives, so that we can get a different perspective, so that we can recharge our batteries. It's a lot. And I'm sorry that I call them Chinese finger cuffs, right? Those little coils, and you stick your finger in. How do you get out of them? You have to flex it. You have to release the tension. That's what Shabbat is. That opportunity to release the tension in our lives, the tensions in our systems, the tensions in our list of to-do, so we can breathe, so we can connect, so we can be full of shalom, a little closer to wholeness, harmony, and peace. And what's the second, or the last one? Natan lanu et ha-Torah. We talk about Jewish time with Shabbat, and we talk about Jewish wisdom with Torah. With Torah, we have the stories of our people, both when they failed and when they succeeded. And that as we are reading Torah and studying Torah, when you study Torah, do you study Torah on your own? No. How do you study Torah? In chevruta, in community with a bagel, right? And good cream cheese and lox, unless you don't like lox. You're supposed to study with other people. You're supposed to tell these stories and wrestle with these stories and discuss them with the people around you. There I am thinking about Israel and feeling all of the stuckness that I just want to offer the right blessing, watching that very painful and challenging situation where there are a lot of questions and not a lot of answers. And I started thinking about Ilu Hotzi, Hosianu, Mi Mitzrayim, Hotzianu, Mi Mitzrayim, Dayenu. And I realized that right in the midst of the song, even as I'm saying, God, can I please figure out how to be unstuck in this season as I approach Passover, I realized Natan Lanu et HaShabbat, a day of rest, a day of release, a day of recharging, and Natan et HaTorah, God giving us Torah. We have tools from Torah, from our values, from our rituals and our texts and our artifacts. So many different ways to approach our world. So let us, as we are getting ready for Passover, when we start singing Dayenu, it's my hope that you slow yourself down a little bit. If we are in Hebrew school, I would say get out your yod. Does everyone, can I see your yod? That's your hand, your pointer, just like you used to point to the Torah. Why do we do it? Not just because we don't want to touch the scroll, but to make contact between our eye and the paper, to bring those words off the page. That was my meditation on Dayenu this morning, during this week, as I was thinking, what do I need to tell my congregation? That I feel the stuckness, and I need Shabbat, and I need Torah, and all of the things that those two values bring to me to help me get unstuck. It's my hope and my challenge that as we get ready for our Passover, as you sit in community, whether you're here with us on the second night or with family and friends, that as you sing these words, that you take just a moment and you think about the places where you're stuck, and you think not just about Jewish time and not just Jewish story, but what are the things that you need from your community, from family and friends, from this earth, to be able to lead you to a place of shalom, of wholeness, harmony, and peace. If all of us, I'm going to do it even more simply. If even one of us has that experience on this Pesach, Dayenu, it would have been enough. Dayenu, 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 Dayenu.